to Let's Grapple, episode number 2. I want to say out there to everyone, as of this recording, Happy Easter. Hope you're having a great weekend, whether you're celebrating with your family, if you're going to a convention this weekend. I know there's, what's that count? Walker Stalker Heroes and Villains Fan Fest this weekend in Chicago and Rosemont, Illinois. I know our buddy and Too Sweet Cosplay admin Wildcard was there. Whether you're watching the Shield's last chapter or if you've already watched it, the taping goes up a little beyond that time. I hope you're enjoying that. I hope you're enjoying Game of Thrones. Whatever you're doing, I hope you're having a great weekend and positive start to the day, or to the week for that matter. Also, just want to say thank you for all the support you've been giving to the Facebook channel of Too Sweet Cosplay, the Twitter, Instagram, and of course this YouTube channel. If you enjoy it, tell a friend to follow us on all social media, or just if you haven't followed the other social medias, go check those out too. We try to vary it up on the channels, try to give something a little different on each that you can all enjoy. Always open to suggestions on how to improve everything, and tell us what you want to see more of. We're always open to hearing that. But yeah, let's begin the episode. The first topic I'd like to address today is Sasha Banks talking about leaving WWE, or at least the dirt sheets pointing towards her potentially leaving WWE. For starters, on her Twitter, apparently she unfollowed the WWE's Twitter and started following AEW. This is all coming from some frustration from her recent tag team championship drop at WrestleMania. Apparently she hasn't been happy. There's that big rumor that she and Bayley were at the hotel throwing a tantrum on the floor, complaining about them not being able to retain the titles. And some news from sites such as the Ringside Roster and other news outlets have been saying that she and Bayley were promised a match in Saudi Arabia, which we all know is very restrictive on women's wrestling matches being performed there. But allegedly they were going to defend the titles at Saudi Arabia, being a history-making match. And I believe it was in Abu Dhabi. Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss made history by being the first two women to wrestle a match there. Of course, they had to wear some more covered up outfits versus their regular ring attire, but apparently a lot of things aren't sitting well with Sasha Banks. I mean, you know, if you want to hear my take on it, I'm about 50-50 on her. I could see why she's upset, but at the same time, it's like, you know, relax. You're in a good position. You're making some good money. You're a popular star. You get TV time. That's more than some other people can say on WWE television. I know that the Raw Women's title, she's a 4-time champion. However, I'd say the combination of all of her title reigns is less than a Ronda Rousey Raw Women's Championship title reign. I know that one of her title reigns was only 8 days, or she'd lose it immediately to Charlotte Flair at the pay-per-view after she won the title from her. That's what kind of kickstarted Charlotte Flair's undefeated pay-per-view reign for a while. But yeah, there was a lot of hot potatoing with that. Then she kind of got brushed to the side for stars like, you know, Charlotte Flair herself, Alexa Bliss, and more recently Ronda Rousey. So I guess there's that little frustration that, you know, she busts her ass off. She was a big deal in NXT. I mean, and she really is still a big deal. There's still plenty of fans of hers. And I thought she and Bayley gained a lot of momentum when they became the women's tag team champions. Yeah, they did have that crappy on and off friendship last year. And they even tried to boost interest by bringing back Dr. Shelby, who helped create Team Hell No. They tried to do that whole ordeal, and fans weren't really connecting with it. But yeah, it's unprofessional, and I don't know why she didn't appear on the Wendy Williams show. Like, she had a appearance scheduled, but she bailed out last minute. She claimed it was a family emergency. Then there was sources saying that from the Wendy Williams show that she's not welcome back, and it was very unprofessional behavior to leave them to scramble to come up with a new show idea the day of, very last minute. I don't know. I mean, you gotta look at it like, yeah, just basically, you know, some people like having a job, just whatever they can in WWE, whether it's, you know, being Kurt Hawkins, the losing streak guy, or just R-Truth has publicly stated that even though he's in more comedic roles in WWE versus TNA, where he was a World Heavyweight Champion, I mean, yeah, he did get a United States title run, but it wasn't nearly what it was in, compared to how he was in TNA wrestling to how he is now in WWE. He obviously isn't as big a star, but his name's still out there. He gets pretty good TV appearances, but first and foremost, it's about money, and he's happy he's making that money. And then the dirt sheets are also saying someone like Shinsuke Nakamura, he's definitely not really where he was early last year, winning the 2018 Royal Rumble. People thought he would be a world champion by now, and now he's on kickoff shows, and he's in a random tag team with Rusev, who I'll talk a little more about later. But no, there's stories saying he's completely happy in the role he's in and may not leave. I mean, he gets to live in Florida with his family, gets to enjoy the life, he's making good money, he gets to be on TV. So he seems to be okay if the dirt sheet stories are correct. So, I mean, some people are happy with that, and then we all know the famous story of Cody Rhodes. While he was making good money, he wasn't happy with the position in the company. He was Stardust. He wanted to do more than just be, a character on TV. He wanted to be a bigger deal. So he went out there. He went to New Japan Wrestling. He was in Ring of Honor. He hosted All In, which was a very amazing show. And now he's starting All Elite Wrestling, which it could very well be a competitor to the WWE. It might be one of their biggest competitors since WCW went out of business. So we'll find out. I mean, some people are happy with that stuff. Some people are not. There's stories that Sasha Banks might be getting some negotiations to try to stay. However, Vince McMahon's not trying to, cave into Sasha's demands, but just wants to kind of improve her situation, make her a little happier. But time will tell if Sasha Banks sticks around. On that respect, I'm going to talk about some other superstars who are either leaving or speculated to be leaving. First off, I'll go over Luke Harper, someone who actually just left, or just announced he's departing the WWE via Twitter publicly. He showed that he requested a release from WWE. He's grateful for what they've offered him through the years. However, I guess he just feels it's best that he leaves. I mean, it really sucks because he was a very talented wrestler, arguably one of the better performers of the Wyatt family. He's one of the workhorses of that group. I really enjoyed the Bludgeon Brothers, that tag team, when they formed and kind of, try to make their efforts of breaking away from the full Wyatt family image with him and Eric Rowan until Eric became Daniel Bryan's bodyguard. But I mean, I don't know, like if WWE doesn't have any plans outside for maybe being a bodyguard or just being a body they'll need to use here and there, it doesn't sound like they have much, then I guess it's best they part ways. I mean, it's very unfortunate, but wrestling is cyclical, and I'm going to talk even more about it after I run down some more talents. But I wish Luke the best. I hope that he, finds something he wants to do and it makes him happier than the current role he was in. Apparently he had a very awesome match in the Worlds Collide tournament. I can't remember the superstar's name off the bat, but apparently they had a great match, so I've been recommended to check it out. If you have any comments on that match, let us know in the comments section. More recently, we've seen the releases of TJP, Hideo Itami, as well as Ty Dillinger. Ty Dillinger asked for a release. I think it's similar to Luke Harper. Like, he wasn't officially granted it until days later when WWE announced the 3 men's departures. So I'm sure that Luke Harper probably will be granted a release. WWE's page never stated it, but I'm pretty sure it's happening. So with those 3, I mean, yeah, it's unfortunate. But again, there's only so much roles you can give somebody on TV. I mean, Ty Dillinger, he was a decent talent. I mean, the 10 gimmick, it had a short shelf life. I mean, people really did like chanting the whole 10 theme, but what else was there to it? How many years is he going to go in the Royal Rumble as spot number 10, which he didn't even do this year's Royal Rumble? But yeah, I mean, there's only so much you can do with that, so I understand that, you know, he probably wants to do more. Maybe the WWE didn't have anything to offer him, and just, you know, they decided, let's agree to disagree and part ways. Hideo Itami was a big deal when he first came into WWE NXT. He was introduced by Hulk Hogan, of all people. You know, one of the most iconic wrestlers. I mean, that's a pretty big boost to an appearance. I mean, it may not guarantee you become a world champion or anything, but I mean, that's a pretty big deal. But unfortunately, he had some injuries, and the other NXT talent just showcased him. I remember Finn Balor was his tag team partner. Finn Balor came a little after Hideo Itami did to NXT, and Finn kind of overshadowed him, and then later Shinsuke Nakamura came in, overshadowed him, and they really didn't do all too much after that injury for Hideo. And then he got moved to 205 Live, which unfortunately, as critically praised as the show is by fans who do watch it, not a lot of people do. So unless you're the cream of the crop there, like Buddy Murphy or Cedric Alexander, who are being moved to the main roster respectively to SmackDown and Raw. I mean, there's great talents, but I mean, unfortunately, it's not as watched and not as many people know about it, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. As for TJP, we'll just say, yeah, good talent, but you know, there's only so much you can do with all these people on the shows. On to the Revival, Mike Bennett, Maria Kanellis, and actually the Good Brothers, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. They're all heavily speculated to not being happy and want to be released by the company, or are saying they won't re-sign a contract when it comes time to contract negotiations. Mike and Maria actually are on 205 Live now, at least as of March, when I looked back to see how they were doing. At least they have TV time, I'll say that much, but you know, some are only happy about certain spots they have on the card. Not everyone wants to be on a show that's only on WWE Network. Some want to be on a wider scale of television, or just want a higher scale of pay. So I mean, it is what it is, but that's how it goes for them. The Revival recently were the Raw Tag Team Champions. It wasn't too long of a run. I mean, they got to retain the titles in the Fastlane in a very quality match of the night there. And then WrestleMania, they lost the titles to Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder. Kurt Hawkins' losing streak finally came to an end at the hands of the Revival. I mean, there's a lot of back and forth saying the Revival wants to leave. We'll find out. I mean, at least they got a tag title run, but I think they still have almost a year on their contract, if not a little more. So, I mean, time will tell if they can get granted an early release. if they'll just stay until the contract's done, or maybe they'll just say, hey, let's stick it out. Let's try to become tag team champions again, or just be happy we're in the WWE and making what we make. Meanwhile, with Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, there's speculation that, they were offered some high-figured salaries to stay, but they want to leave. So Finn Balor just recently moved to SmackDown Live. The whole Bullet Club Association. Maybe they'll do something with Finn and the Bullet Club again, but time will tell. I don't know if they will or if they'll kind of ignore it. They kind of did a brief thing with AJ Styles when they moved to SmackDown last year, but that didn't really materialize into anything long term. So I really don't know. It'll be interesting to see if those two will stick it out, or if they'll either pursue a trip back to Japan, or if they'll try to go to AEW when that thing gets off the ground. Here's Lana and Rusev. We can talk a little bit about them. I mean, recently Rusev gave a jab to Sasha Banks, calling, her Botcha or whatever, which is a common nickname. I mean, yeah, she's had her botches. One which unfortunately led to Paige's retirement. I was a little upset at that time about it, but you got to remember that other people do cause injuries. Seth Rollins, he's one of the greats, one of the great current superstars. He's the WWE Universal Champion after all. He unfortunately did that turnbuckle powerbomb to Steen. The Icon Steen, and that actually led to his retirement, and that was a little rough. I know people were mad at him at the time about that, and I was a little upset too, but I've since forgiven him, and yeah, I mean, these things happen. But back onto Rusev and Lana, they've kind of vented frustration on and off, or saying that they kind of want to depart. I know Lana's been getting in trouble for having a little risque videos, whether they're hacked or she just leaked it online. I mean, I won't get too much into it, but I know basically whether it's content that she posts or her kind of trash talking fellow women superstars. I know she kind of did some digs at Ronda Rousey and some others. I mean, you could always say it's kayfabe, or, hey, it's part of my character. I just throw a jab online here and there, just to keep up my character, get my character known on social media, because I can't get it as much noticed on television. But who knows? I mean, maybe they'll stick it out too, or maybe when it's time for their contracts to end, maybe they'll want to part ways as well. I don't know. But, yeah, we can talk all day about all these superstars. I mean, here's my take to all them. And to the WWE in general. I mean, here's what I think. So, if people really are unhappy and the WWE has a bloated roster, they have WWE Raw, they have SmackDown, they got 205 Live, they got NXT, they got NXT UK. They have a lot of different rosters, and recently Alexander Wolf teased he was leaving the WWE, but he was in fact actually going to NXT UK, which I won't get into the spoilers of it. I mean, they're pretty much online, they're pretty accessible. WWE even revealed themselves on their app what Alexander Wolf's next big thing is. You can read more about it on various wrestling news pages or the WWE's pages, because I mean, it's not a hidden secret, but he's not leaving WWE like myself and many others have speculated. He's just not going to be on Raw nor SmackDown. So there's that. Dustin Rhodes recently tried to claim, don't believe everything you read online about him asking for his WWE departure. However, as of Saturday of this weekend, it was announced that he's going to be taking on his brother, Cody Rhodes, at All In. I'm sorry, at Double or Nothing. he's going to have a match. So it's going to be interesting. A brother versus brother match at Double or Nothing, AEW's first wrestling pay-per-view. First official wrestling pay-per-view, mind you. We'll see what happens. I mean, time will tell if with all these stars. But anyways, on to my take of what I think with this whole thing of all these superstars wanting their releases. The WWE should just grant any superstar that's basically not named John Cena, Roman Reigns, AJ Styles, or Ronda Rousey, or Becky Lynch, or Charlotte Flair. If they're not that caliber, let them go, you know. You have many different spots to be filled. There's many superstars dying for a spot. New people are getting added to NXT every day. So, if they're not happy, just say, hey, let's cut them loose if they want to go. I guess they're afraid of the whole superstars leave to go to AEW or Ring of Honor or New Japan and make them a bigger deal. I mean, it happened with Cody Rhodes. I'm not sure how many people would have predicted like all this stuff coming, like with the Bullet Club, and then later All In and All Elite Wrestling coming. I don't know if people would have guessed that with Cody Rhodes. I mean, he's a very talented guy, very bright superstar, but did you expect that level of success with Cody? Who knows? Some of these wrestlers can do it, but I mean, hey, WWE is a very powerful machine. They're making great money each year, be it their Saudi Arabia deal, their deal with Fox for $1 billion on SmackDown on Fox. They can work with all these superstars, and, you know, sometimes I think that maybe they should bring back a spring cleaning. I mean, never do I wish anyone directly that they get released from the WWE or anything, but the spring cleanings do help out with the roster. That it does help kind of like direct, it kind of like gives more spots open. Or if, you know, people aren't happy where their current spots are, but they're just enjoying where they're at, then just, you know, let them go on to the indies or to a competing promotion and kind of hone their skill, and they can always come back if, you know, when they improve. But yeah, there's a lot of spots. Otherwise, they're going to have to either open another show, like maybe bring back ECW as a third brand to Raw and SmackDown. I mean, that's really the only way I can see all these superstars getting their TV time. Yeah, so I mean, just like if they could just figure out some happy medium to get all these superstars into certain roles. I mean, do you really like watching the Andre the Giant Battle Royal or the Women's Battle Royal with several superstars just to make sure everyone's on the card at WrestleMania? I mean, I would like an ultimatum where they maybe do one Battle Royal, whether it's the women or the men, and then maybe they can do like one lumberjack match or one big team match versus having two Battle Royals at WrestleMania that consume up so much time. I mean, I enjoy WrestleMania. They're great shows, but can get very time consuming, and it just feels like it's just a chore sometimes with these Battle Royals. They could easily just figure out some way, or they don't have to try to cram all these superstars on the show. I would prefer a quality show versus trying to have everybody on the roster onto one show. So I just say if a superstar wants to be granted a release and WWE doesn't agree with what their demands are, then just part ways, you know. Say thank you for your services, thank you for all you do, but, you know, we gotta part ways. Thanks for coming. Maybe we can talk again in a few years. Yeah, and speaking of departing superstars, Dean Ambrose, he's gonna be departing the WWE this it looks like he might be departing unless something happens on the Shield's final chapter that might indicate he's in fact staying with the company. As of this writing, that it's not been revealed if he's going to be staying, but lots of signs pointing towards Dean departing. So if that's his last hurrah, thank you for everything. Maybe things could have been better, especially with his more recent heel turn. I'm sure that they really could have capitalized on that more, but maybe some time away will help Dean Ambrose. Maybe AEW, Ring of Honor, New Japan will allow him to have more creative freedoms that he wishes for, and maybe he can go back to his CZW style of combat, you know, as John Moxley. Maybe we can see some of that again, but time will tell. And in the meantime, check out some of these Shield cosplayers from Too Sweet Cosplay. We got, and I apologize if I miss any of the names. We got, of course, fellow Too Sweet Cosplay admin Wildcard. He's always done some very cool Dean Ambrose cosplays. I want to give a shout out to Paul Jameson and Anthony Vernon, respectively, as Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. We also have Yakum's cosplay, Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns cosplay, very cool guys. They've provided many access photos to our page. They looked like they had a great time. It looked like a very fun time. We have some fan art to be showcased in some of these videos, and some of these clips, I mean. Yeah, check out these awesome Shield cosplayers. They look great in some of the fan art. You guys do a very good job. For more details, go ahead and look on our Too Sweet Cosplay Instagram, Facebook, and some stuff posted on our Twitter accounts. A lot of good stuff here. So I'll let this video show you some of these cosplays and fan art, and we'll get on to the next topic in a short moment. Tw 17 years ago, on April 21st in WWE history, WWE presented Backlash 2002, which was actually the last WWF pay-per-view, at least in North America, with the WWF name before they had to change their name to WWE, you know, where they get the F out. But yeah, this was the last WWF branded pay-per-view, and one of the early ones in the first ever brand extension pay-per-views. And I'm going to kind of go over a little bits and pieces of the card. Also, this was from the Kemper Arena in Kansas City, Missouri, which is the return of WWE's return there since the tragic passing of Owen Hart in that very arena, where he passed away, or he unfortunately landed to his death in at the Over the Edge pay-per-view. So this was their return to this arena after that tragic incident. But to go over some information about this pay-per-view, I'm going to highlight some of the key matches. Brock Lesnar had a defeat over Jeff Hardy. This was kind of when he was building himself as the next big thing. Paul Heyman would hype him. He would attack superstars on a weekly basis. The very first one I remember was him giving the F5 to Rikishi Fatu. He lifted him up over his head, which he made it look effortless despite how heavy Rikishi is. I think that was pretty damn amazing how he was able to get him up over his head. But yeah, he defeated Jeff Hardy on this very show. Kurt Angle had a defeat over Edge. We also had a returning Eddie Guerrero defeat Rob Van Dam for the WWF Intercontinental Championship, which that was very cool. I really enjoyed their feud. They had some great matches in that rivalry. God rest Eddie Guerrero. Here is another big one. The Undertaker defeated Stone Cold Steve Austin to become the #1 contender for the WWF Undisputed Heavyweight Championship title. And the match was refereed by Nature Boy Ric Flair. So that was very cool. This is some great post-Attitude Era action as we eased into the Ruthless Aggression era and the brand split, of course. And finally, Hollywood Hulk Hogan defeated Triple H for the Undisputed Championship, making him a 6-time WWE World Heavyweight Champion. And this was Hulk Hogan's first WWF Championship. Well, WWF to WWE, however you want to interpret it. But anyways, that was his first championship since 1993. This was the year 2002, mind you. But yeah, Hulk Hogan won the championship for the first time and had one of the longest, in-between reigns happening because he went to WCW shortly after his last WWF championship reign ended. So that was his first WWE championship since returning back to the company after nearly 10 years with departing. So now I want to get to some questions from Twitter. Remember, you can ask me questions. I'll answer them in the video. I'll open it up onto the Too Sweet Cosplay Facebook pages and maybe even try to figure out some way you can ask questions on Instagram. But for the meantime, Twitter will be the outlet to try to get your questions onto this very show. The best way to do it is put Ask STVO in hashtag Ask STVO, and then tweet at me at my personal Twitter account versus the Too Sweet Cosplay account. If you want to tag them too, please do so. But at STVOU, STVOU, is where you're going to want to send any questions and make sure you include hashtag Ask STVO. So, with that being said, our first one is from Saki the Sock Puppet at Platinum Saki. Good old sock puppet and his master Alejandro they're both very cool people. I'll just say that. So the first question here is, Steve-O, can I, Saki the Sock Puppet, join Too Sweet Cosplay during the Survivor Series weekend? So with that said, Survivor Series is coming to the Chicagoland area, into Rosemont this November. And yeah, Too Sweet Cosplay will be planning some events during that weekend. We don't have any official details yet, but stay tuned to all our social media. And yeah, Saki, you, Alejandro, anybody else who want to meet up, we're totally game for that. We definitely enjoy seeing other wrestling fans, wrestling cosplayers. I think that would be great. So yeah, definitely can meet up, buddy. Well, we hope to see you guys there. We'll announce more details as they come closer to that time. The next question is from my buddy Andrew over at the Ringside Roster, Andrew DeSocio, good buddy of mine. He said, as of the writing, on Friday, today the WWE released the following list of matches they would like to see at next year's WrestleMania 36. I'm being asked what matches I would like to see happen and what does my perfect card look like. You're doing a great job with the show, bro. Thanks, I really appreciate that. Hoping to continue to make it a weekly basis, but I'll show you guys the graphic cards and kind of run over them. One of the first big matches is The Rock versus Roman Reigns. Then we got John Cena versus the Velveteen Dream. So they're saying that Velveteen Dream might be called up maybe within this year or early next year. That'd be interesting. Brock Lesnar versus Matt Riddle. And then an 8-women tag match of the 4 horsewomen of wrestling, which is Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, Bayley, and Becky Lynch. If Sasha makes it into next year, that is. or let alone the rest of this year. And Ronda Rousey and her MMA buddies, the four horsewomen of MMA, or UFC for that matter. That match has been talked about forever. I mean, that'd be cool to see, but time will tell if Sasha sticks around. Finally, we got Finn Balor versus somebody, they don't know who yet, but it'll be for the Universal Championship. I don't know if Finn's necessarily going to be coming into WrestleMania as the Universal Champion, or if he will be challenging for that title. I mean, with that logic, though, Finn is now a SmackDown superstar. He would be competing for the WWE Heavyweight Championship, barring any title unifications, or unless he says, you know what, I want to go to Raw to challenge so-and-so for the championship. If he wins the Royal Rumble, mind you. Time will tell, but I mean, Finn Balor in the world title scene would be very much welcome. All those matches sound pretty solid to me. Matt Riddle is a very exceptional star. The bro gimmick, I'm in between on it, but the talent more than makes up for it. We'll see if Lesnar sticks around the rest of this year. I mean, if WWE pays him a lot, they probably will. That card sounds pretty solid. As for any matches I myself would like to see, I'm gonna probably have to let that opinion stew a little bit. I'll go with the Roman Reigns versus The Rock. I'll copycat off WWE themselves and say, yeah, I'd like to see that match. I'd like to see John Cena versus Samoa Joe. That was a heavily speculated match for this year's WrestleMania, but that didn't end up happening. We can always do it next year. I'd like to see Finn Balor in either the WWE Heavyweight Championship title scene or the Universal title championship scene. That'd be cool. We'll see about that. AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania if they don't decide, hey, let's have it at SummerSlam or sooner, which that very well can happen now that they're on the same brands. If that doesn't happen, if they don't make it happen anytime within the rest of this year, let's see Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles for one of the titles. Or it could even be a one-off like Randy Orton versus AJ Styles. Time will tell. I could go with any of that stuff. And the final question is also from Andrew of the Ringside Rosters. So make sure you check out their news. Great page. Great dude running the page. His final question is, with AEW on the horizon and so much buzz surrounding it, what do you think WWE can do to win back fans and also bring back some much-needed edge to their shows? There's a couple things WWE can do. Supposedly, Fox is wanting SmackDown to be an edgier product, whether it's necessarily going back to the TV 14 rating or anything like that. We can possibly see some of that come back. We don't need the Attitude Era to fully return. We don't need to see too much raunchiness, but I mean, hey, when people do kind of blur the lines, get real a bit, that's always makes for fun television. Let's just not go into full-on, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of things like where people are just calling each other by their real names, like WCW 2000. Let's not go that real. I don't know. There's a lot of options WWE can go with. I'd say stop being lazy with the writing. Try to do some more surprises. Speaking of Dean Ambrose from last year's heel turn, that was actually a big surprise. Roman Reigns announced his leukemia. Dean and Seth won the tag team titles that very night after that announcement was made, and Dean Ambrose turned heel on him. Nobody would have seen that coming. But then, the aftermath following it was pretty poor. Dean Ambrose was a germaphobe, and that was really all his heel character was. They didn't really have any exciting build-up after that. So, supposedly that's one of the reasons Dean wants to depart. We need some effective long-term storylines. I personally really liked the whole Ronda Rousey, Charlotte Flair, and Becky Lynch storyline. I thought that was one of the best built-up feuds going into WrestleMania from this year. I think that it was very solid that all three got to face off. I know there's some unhappiness of Charlotte weaseling her way in, and people complained about Ronda Rousey not having the talent to carry the show. I couldn't disagree more with those statements. I thought they all did a great job. I guess some personal things is like maybe we can have a stable or something very exciting. Like what I pitched last week was having the Undisputed Era divide and conquer to kind of take over both Raw and SmackDown. I mean, maybe they could still do that. Maybe that's what they're going to have to compete with AEW's product. They can just try to blur the lines with the brands, have one dangerous, badass stable try to take over both Raw and SmackDown by, sending two wrestlers on one side with the Undisputed Era onto Raw. It could be Adam Cole and Fish, or Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly could be on SmackDown. It could be any variation of that, or they could do an all-new stable altogether, trying to just take over both shows, whether it's with the women's division or the men's division or a mix of the two. They need something very exciting to kind of like say, wow, there's Raw, there's SmackDown, then there's this division that's trying to really take over both shows. I think that would be something very fun. Try letting the wrestlers work a little more unscripted. Some people do have the freedom to say what they want. Some others are very restricted. I'd say work on having the people who can speak just be able to speak their mind more and just go from there. It would be more helpful. That's really all I got. What do you guys think? What can WWE do to make sure AEW doesn't steal too much thunder when they finally launch this year? But yeah, with that said, that's the episode. That's it for episode 2 of Let's Grapple. I hope you're all having a great holiday. Hope everything's going well with you. Once again, if you want to ask any questions beyond the next show, use hashtag AskStevo and then tweet at STVOU, and we'll try to feature some of your questions onto the show. And I'll find another alternative on maybe trying to ask questions there too, just to kind of gauge some more questions. So that's it for now. Thank you for watching. Please follow Too Sweet Cosplay on all social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course this very YouTube channel here. Let us know what you want to see more of on all our platforms and in the show. If there's anything that I can improve on in the show, I'm more than willing to listen. So thank you again for watching, and hope you all have a great week.